government of Zimbabwe, through the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, has upgraded the education curriculum. The adjustments have been input into the education system with effect from January 2017. Welcome to our current affairs program, Let's Talk Education. My name is Marion Shaba. Tonight, to discuss the issues around the upgraded education system, we have in the studio Dr. Arthur Makanda, who is the Acting Principal Director, Curriculum Development and Technical Services in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Dr. Makanda, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Marion.
We also have Mr. Peter Muzawazi, who is the Acting Principal Director, Department of Primary, Secondary and Non-Formal Education. Mr. Peter Muzawazi, welcome to the program.
Thank you for the promotion. Thank you very much, Marion. Good evening, Zimbabweans.
I'll start with you, Mr. Muzawazi. How were teachers prepared for this updated curriculum?
Thank you very much indeed, Marion. As you are aware, the review of the curriculum has taken quite some time. You know, you go back to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into Education and Training. So this is a process that Ministry was aware of, and so we were able to plan in advance and put in place critical programs, processes, critical inputs to prepare for this updated curriculum. And you may remember that in 2015, His Excellency the President launched the Teacher Capacity Development Program. Basically, the ministry had mapped through the Teacher Development Information System the skills of the teachers in preparation for the implementation of the updated curriculum. And we did indeed find that there were gaps. Areas like ICT in education, science, mathematics, indigenous languages. These are some of the areas where the skills were not there. There were skills gaps within the teachers. And so a program was started, the Teacher Capacity Development Program, where interested teachers were invited to apply. And we are working currently with 6 universities. And the entire studies at these universities are paid for by the ministry, through the ministry from government, and also a little bit of support from partners. So that preparation for teacher gaps has been in place. Secondly, we have also been undertaking a program of developing the capacity of teachers to develop teaching and learning materials. I know there's usually the outcry about books in relation to the curriculum, and these are critical textbooks. But you will find that a textbook that you go and pick from a bookshop can be used by a teacher. But also a teacher can develop teaching and learning materials that respond to the needs of their children. You can look at the infant level, for example. I'm sure you've had an opportunity to move into their classrooms. You know, you'll see animals there, human beings, all kinds of materials, you know, appealing to the learners, which you may not find in a book. Yes, the books may have some illustrations. So we consciously developed all the teachers who were going to be implementing the curriculum beginning this year with the capacity to be able to produce their materials. And we went further to give close support to each teacher. You may be aware that in Zimbabwe we have clusters of about 7 schools. And at each cluster center, we have put machinery in place, risographs, photocopiers, to enable teachers within the cluster to produce teaching learning materials that are responsive to the needs of their learners. And then Perhaps a third area I may want to share with you was the training in syllabus interpretation. The syllabi were developed, and the good news is the majority of the people who participated in the development of the syllabi were teachers themselves. And then, of course, because we are producing a curriculum that is relevant to the needs of individuals, relevant to the needs of the nation, we had, like all stakeholders, bankers also on board as we were developing the syllabi, to make sure that issues like financial literacy, are sufficiently taken on board by our syllabi. So I think there has been a very good effort. And what I may end up by saying in regard to your question is that this is a process. I know there may be concerns, but these will be addressed. And as we speak in this first term, there has been a lot of monitoring. Only last week we had 3 teams out in Uzumba Maramba Pfungwe, in Guruwe, in Mondoro Ngezi, monitoring the implementation of the updated curriculum, interacting with the teachers on the ground, with the heads, interacting with the parents, and understanding if there are areas of challenges. And I want to say what we witnessed on the ground is very pleasing. We are moving in the right direction.
Mr. Muzawazi, you earlier mentioned that interested teachers were taken for the teacher capacity development program. When you say interested, what do you mean? Was this a voluntary process? What happens to those teachers that are not taking up this capacity development program?
Right, Marion, what you must appreciate is that we have about 100% trained teachers in the system. And you're talking of geography teachers, mathematics teachers. These are there with the skills, the knowledge, the subject mastery to be able to handle these. But then we have areas like from our constitution, which recognizes 15 languages, indigenous languages, and the sign language. We did not have teachers who had trained in those languages. These are the areas where 2-3 years back, we requested teachers who were interested in teaching these subjects. And we have about 130,000 teachers. And this is a component of the curricula.
All right.
Yeah. Who are those who would like to take up this? And teaching is really a passion. I'm sure you're aware of this. If you just pick people and force them, you're going to take mathematics, you're going to take that subject, that's where you can have problems. And I'm happy that the response was very good from teachers. And if we happen to continue to get resources, like we are hopeful we'll be able to, we will continue to train more and more teachers in areas where we identify gaps.
Great, thank you. Now coming to you, Dr. Makanda, how is the updated curriculum different from the old one?
Thank you, Marion. You may recall in 1999, the Ziramasanga Commission presented a report to the President with recommendations in indicating areas where the curriculum should be improved on. And one of the findings and the recommendations was the curriculum then lacked national values or a philosophy to guide learners as they go through their learning processes. In the new curriculum, we have a philosophy of Ubuntu, which guides learners in all the learning areas as they go through their learning processes, where they must recognize that there are social etiquettes that must be taken on board as they go through the learning. Also, in an agro-based country like our country, Zimbabwe, learners were actually shunning practical lessons. It was kind of optional that they do practical lessons, and ideally we thought it is important that they do the academic and also the practical. So the emphasis on technical and vocational subjects came into being. And also the new curriculum or the updated curriculum gives premium to skills, or it is competence based, where we are saying our learners must develop certain skills, and as they exit their various levels in the education system, they must be able to say, we have acquired these skills through learning. So these are some of the things that really shows that there is a difference in the two curriculums. Also, the updated curriculum has introduced heritage studies. You may be aware that previously we did not have heritage studies, as if as a people we didn't have some historical background to say this is where we came from, these are our resources, and also these are our historical artifacts. So the new curriculum, or the updated curriculum, is introducing those that learning area. And also we have the physical education, sports and mass displays. You may be aware that in the primary section, our learners could do sporting, do cultural dancing, and when they go to secondary school, it was almost absent. And then when they exit secondary, then they find those learning areas at tertiary. So there was a gap. So indeed, we needed to close that gap.
Dr. Makanda, I may have to cut you off there. We want to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue from that point. Viewers, please note that you can send us WhatsApp messages on 0774 25571 for your views and comments on Let's Talk Education. Of course, our Twitter handle is MOPSZIM, which is spelled MOPSEZIM. MOPSEZIM. We'll take a break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Let's Talk Education. In the studio, I'm joined by Dr. Arthur Makanda, who is the Acting Principal Director, Curriculum Development and Technical Services in the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. And I also have Mr. Peter Muzawazi, who is the Acting Principal Director, Department of Primary, Secondary and Non-Formal Education. Gentlemen, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much, Marion.
I'll start with you, Mr. Muzawazi. What are some of the cross-cutting areas of the updated curriculum?
Thank you very much. The cross-cutting areas, these are areas where learners who want to pursue different paths all are expected to study. Mm-hmm. And perhaps I can give you two examples on account of time. One is agriculture. We expect every learner, never mind the pathway they wish to pursue, to take up agriculture throughout their primary and secondary. Agriculture starts at grade 3. And we also have visual and performing arts. Mm-hmm. And in respect of agriculture, with the land reform that we know took place, I think it is critical that from an early age, the passion for agriculture, the skills, the knowledge, these get inculcated in every Zimbabwean. Because if there is one thing that we are very fortunate about, it is that every Zimbabwean has access to some piece of land somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the decisions made. And also visual and performing arts. This is a critical area. You know, you don't want your big names, artists, music artists, you know, who break by chance. You hear their story that they went to an uncle who was playing a guitar and then they started joining. We want a situation where the system is preparing as many of our learners as possible to find their living through music. And basically, performing arts, for example, is a lot to do with training learners in emotional intelligence. It's a very interesting area. And so these are new avenues, you know, that are opening up for our children. And in a nutshell, I think the cross-cutting areas perhaps were selected because they are a good base for future learning or learning across the curriculum. We're also looking at perhaps learning areas that are cost-effective and also perhaps learning areas that have a huge capacity for employment, including largely self-employment.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, Dr. Makanda, coming to you just as a roundup, what is the position of the ministry with regards to religion?
Thank you very much. The position of the ministry is that we teach, or we have a multi-faith approach as religions are practiced, or religions practiced in this country. So we are approaching the issue of religion as a multi-faith, and this has been happening since we got our independence. All these religions that are in the updated curriculum have been taught before, and what has changed is only the approach, where we have said there should be prominence in how we are teaching these religions, so that our learners understand most of the values that the religion try to inculcate in our people. And we are also saying there must be tolerance as we approach these religions. We must make our learners aware of various demands of certain religions in the country and also in the world. So it has been quite some debate, we understand. But if you have a chance to read the preamble, the introduction of the religion syllabus, which is family, religion, and moral education, you will find out that it has got certain values that we intend to achieve as a nation. Firstly, when we are talking of the family, we want our learners to have a sound grounding on what is referred to as a family. And schools or the education system is not going to convert learners into various religion. What happens is there is an assumption that as they go to school, they know about the religion. They have a certain religion that they follow, even when they come from home. So we are taking from that pedestal to say, now, as we are in school, these are the values that are taught in these various religions.
So, okay, just as a follow-up to that. So, are you saying we are no longer a Christian nation like we previously believed? What is the position now?
The Constitution does not say we are a Christian country. The Constitution really recognize all these religions, and what we are doing as the ministry is to teach what is found in those religions, so that our learners have a fair understanding of the religions practiced in this country.
On that note, we've come to the end of our program. Dr. Makanda, thank you so much for coming through. Mr. Muzawazi, thank you so much for your time. We've come to the end of this week's edition of Let's Talk Education. As I said earlier, your views and comments are welcome. You may text us on 0774 025 571. We welcome your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Let's meet again next week. Good night.